In this video, we're going to be looking at how a user creates a task for himself. And we're going to demonstrate this on the mobile device. But before we get there, let's look at the use case here. Let's assume that the sales executive of Ranchi and his boss, the ASM of Jharkhand, are on a market visit. And they observe that all the DSRs in Ranchi are poor at merchandising. Now the ASM asks the sales executive to conduct a training for all DSRs on merchandising and inform him of the outcomes. Now the SE will be creating a task for himself with the ASM as the supervisor on merchandising training of DSRs in Ranchi. Okay, we are now in the home screen and I go into the Expal app. Now you press this top right icon here, you will see the username and details. In this case, the user is Sales Executive Ranchi and the email ID is seranchi@mail.com. Okay, back to the home screen. Now, to look at the items and tasks that this person is associated with, you press this panel here called Total Items. Now that will take you to all the items that this person, SE Ranchi, is associated with. What he has to do now is create a task. So just press on the blue button here called Create Task. You now get taken to the Create Task screen on the mobile. There are three sections here: the detail view, there is something called wall, and there is something called history. We will look at those later. First, let's start with the detail view. This is where the user will create the task. So in this case, the title is Merchandising Training. And the person can put a tag list like Ranchi or whatever. It's not a mandatory field. I'm just going to skip it for now. And I'll just go into the description saying all Ranchi DSRs to be trained on visual merchandising. Okay. Now this is created by SE Ranchi, who's the user, and the owner in this case, the person who's supposed to complete this task, is also SE Ranchi. So as you start typing out the name, the drop down comes. So you choose SE Ranchi. The supervisor in this case is the person's boss, who is the ASM Jharkhand. So as you type out the email ID of the ASM, the pop-up comes and prompts you. You select that. So you have the user supervisor. Now start date is, let's say, today's date, which is 2nd of March. The end date, let's assume that between the two of them they have decided that this task will be completed by the following Friday, which is 10th of March. Now the task target is another optional field. You can use it to input figures where you have a quantitative target for this task. For now, I would suggest you all skip the source field. We will come to that later. Now we come to parentage. I'll just spend a second here. Parentage is basically what is the item sitting on top of this item to which it is attached, if it is part of the pyramid. And you would all recall the pyramid concept I talked about. So if this item is linked to something higher up above it, you can key in the parentage. But if it is not linked to anything, just key in this thing called ad hoc. You would all see this thing called ad hoc out here, in which case you will not need to tag it to any parent above, and you can just put the overseer right after this. The overseer in this case will also be the ASM Jharkhand. The second level of supervision and the first level are the same. You can choose the criticality of this item. It could be high, medium, low, whatever. Let's say it's medium. This field is a little important. It just says that if you ever edit this task or update this task, would you need an approval of the supervisor for that edit or approval? The default is set to no, so I'm going to leave it there. Ignore all these fields for now. The next review is important, which is that 2nd is the start date. By 10th, this is supposed to complete. So let us say by both of them agree that by Tuesday, which is 7th, a date in between the start date and end date, the SC is supposed to say send out a status report on whether this task is going as per plan. So that particular date then comes and sits in here. That's pretty much it. Now this item is ready to be created. So the SE Ranchi takes a quick look, okay, everything looks fine, creates it. Once the task is created, the system takes the user back to the home screen. Now you would see there are 4 panels here: total items, pending with me, pending with others, and rejected items. Now you would see if you go to pending with others, you see this merchandising training task which has just been created, and the reason it is pending creation is that the supervisor, who is ASM Jharkhand, has to approve this task for creation, and only then this task will become active. So now the SE Ranchi has created this. He can take a look at it and view the details if he wants. All these details will be displayed as per his input. He can recall the request here in case he finds that there is something here which is not properly entered or whatever, and that will allow this item to be pulled back, and the SE Ranchi can again recreate this item or modify it and resend it. But for now, let's assume that all these details are right, and the action now moves to the supervisor, because as per the workflow video that you would have seen, once the owner creates an item, the supervisor will then have to approve it. So now let's move to the supervisor's screen view. The ASM Jharkhand gets into Expal. This is the ASM Jharkhand's user screen. This is the ASM Jharkhand's home screen. Now here you see the ASM Jharkhand has one total item, and he has one item which is pending with me. That means it requires his immediate attention. So he goes right in there and he sees it is about merchandising training, and the status, as you can see, is pending creation. So what he does is he just taps on that, goes straight in. Now he sees this task which has been created by the SE Ranchi. So he can take a quick look at it. He can look at the end date. He can validate the end date, get comfortable with it. If he wants, he can validate the other fields, including the next review date, which is when the SE Ranchi is supposed to post the first status update. He can at this point reject it or accept it. For a minute, let's assume that he is going to accept it. Now the ASM has accepted that, and now when I go back to the screen, you will see that the total items now are 2 and pending with me is 0, because this person has cleared his pending with me folder. So when he goes to total items, now he sees the merchandising training is an active item. From the status bar you see there, the ASM Jharkhand is the supervisor. The role that he plays in that particular task is also mentioned right up there. So at any point in time now, it is going to be sitting on his total items, and it will be active till it is completely finished. So this completes the workflow of the task creation. Now that the task has been approved, the same status and all the same information will be reflecting on the SE Ranchi's home screen as well. Let's take a look at that. Now we are back to the app on the SE Ranchi's mobile device. Now let's go to his home screen. In his home screen, he has 2 tasks. The merchandising training task has been created, and as you can see here, his role is specified here on the left top as the owner of that. Now he can go in there and take a look at it if he wants. Go right back. He also will see the task as active. In the next video, we will see how a task can be updated.